वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, second chapter, entitled The Lord in the Heart, text number 18 onwards. So Shukdev Goswami is further speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Param padam vaishnavam amananti tad yanneti nyayeti iti dutsishavaha visrajya doratmyam ananya sohrida hridopaguyarha padam pade pade. The transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that the supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them to his heart. In the Bhagavad Gita, Madhama is mentioned several times, and according to the version of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there exists the unlimited spiritual sky, wherein the planets are called Vaikunthas, or the abode of the Personality of Godhead. In that sky, which is far, far beyond the material sky and its sevenfold coverings, there is no need of the sun or the moon, nor is there necessity of electricity for illumination, because the planets are self-illuminating and more brilliant than the material suns. So planets are self-illuminating and more brilliant than the material suns. But that light, even of course, Prabhupada said there is no need of the sun or the moon or the necessity of electricity for illumination. But the sun and the moon are there in the Vaikuntha planets, in the spiritual planets. There is no need. The planets are self-illuminating. But the night is there, the day is there. Because the change in the time is there, and the presence of sun and moon is there to facilitate Krishna and his devotees in their pastimes. Not that sun is there just like the sun is here to give so much of heat and have, because the life is dependent upon sun. It's not the case over there. The sun is there, but that's to facilitate in Krishna's pastimes. And similarly, the moon. Planets are self-illuminating, but only when Krishna needs the light. When he needs the darkness, there will be darkness. So that is a specialty of spiritual world. Pure devotees of the Lord are absolutely in harmony with the personality of God. Or in other words, they always think of the Lord as their only dependable friend and well-wisher. They do not care for any mundane creature up to the status of Brahma, the Lord of the universe. Only they can definitely have a clear vision of the Vaikuntha planets. Such pure devotees, being perfectly directed by the Supreme Lord, do not create any artificial perplexity in the matter of transcendental understanding by wasting time in discussing what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, or Maya, nor do they falsely think of themselves as one with the Lord, or argue that there is no existence of the Lord separately, or that there is no God at all, or that all living beings are themselves God, or that when God incarnates himself, he assumes a material body. Means all these misconceptions, pure devotees are not even bothered about all this. There's so many misconceptions in the world. But yes, everybody has their different sanskar, their different realizations, experiences, knowledge, upbringing, association. So based on that, they all have their own so-called philosophy or their own way of thinking about the Supreme Lord. But pure devotees, Lord, they know Krishna is there in the spiritual world. I am part and parcel of Krishna, and my job is to serve Krishna. My constitutional position is to serve Krishna. That's all. Nor do they concern themselves with so many obscure speculative theories, which are in actuality so many stumbling blocks on the path of transcendental understanding. Apart from the class of impersonalists or non devotees, there are also classes who pose themselves as devotees of the Lord, but at heart maintain the idea of salvation by becoming one with the impersonal Brahman. They wrongly manufacture their own way of devotional service by open debauchery and mislead others who are simpletons, debauchees like themselves. All these non-devotees and debauchees are therefore, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, duratmas, or crooked souls in the dress of Mahatmas, great souls. Such non-devotees and debauchees are completely excluded from the list of transcendentalists by the presentation of this particular verse by Shukdev Goswami. So Prabhupada, no, he's only given a background of this verse so far. So Shukdev Goswami, what the verse says, the transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless. Means Prabhupada, in the background, he said, what is godless? So Shukdev Goswami does not even consider them transcendentalist, those who are after everything godless. For they know that the supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them into his heart. Because this was the question of Parikshit Maharaj. What should a person close to death? What is the duty of the person who is close to death? So Shukdev Goswami is slowly bringing him up. Of course, in the later verses of this chapter, he comes to the exact point. But since there are so many other sages in the assembly, and not everybody is at the same level as Parikshit Maharaj, so he is telling these different ideas. So everybody gets something to take from that, to take from his katha. Means, like previously he spoke about universal form, which Prabhupada did mention in the purport that this is for neophytes who can't even concentrate on the Supreme Lord himself. So for them, okay, universal form. And Shukdev Goswami did speak about a lot about universal form. So the idea is, Shukdev Goswami, of course, we as I mean, I won't call myself as a preacher, but trying to give out the message what I studied from Prabhupada's books. So we have to be very careful when we preach. Not everybody would be able to grasp or would be ready for the ultimate thing. Of course, the very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is about the glories of the holy name. The very last verse. But not everybody could be ready for that. So either we preach, of course, we have to preach according to the level of the audience, level of the person we are talking to. And if he has some other ideas, like in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says one should not disturb one's faith. At the same time, one try to give the best message, but do not disturb anybody's faith. So ultimate idea is to at least make the person favorable. At least let's do that instead of if we give heavy philosophy and let him make him run away. And then obviously, since we live in such a protected world, the of the association, then we say, oh, that person was in Maya, so he ran away. That's not the idea. Everybody's in Maya. We all are in Maya. Just because we have put on Kantimala and Tilak and chanting doesn't mean we are away out of Maya yet. But we have to understand the preaching strategy. Shukdev Goswami himself, he could have, when Parikshit Maharaj said, what should a person do who is about to die? Okay, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Shukdev Goswami could have said. And that's it. It was the end of Bhagavatam. We didn't have to go through 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam. But Shukdev Goswami didn't say that. And he started talking about Virat Rupa. Why he had to go through all the opulences of Krishna, so much of opulences? Because he was preparing not just Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was already prepared. We'll see the questions later on what he asks, and sometimes Shukdev Goswami asks him questions and he answers. But he was preparing rest of the audience also. So as a preacher or as a devotee of the Lord, we should have some understanding of who my audience is, or even in the audience there could be different people. So we have to be able to speak accordingly. So at least we don't antagonize people, we don't make them run away. At least let's make them well-wishers, if not fully dedicated. Even we are not fully dedicated, and slowly, we will come to that platform, and slowly, everybody else does also. So anyway, coming back to the purport, planets are actually the supreme residential places called the Parampadam. The impersonal Brahm Jyoti is also called the Parampadam, due to its being the rays of the Vaikuntha planets, as the sun rays are the rays of the sun. In the Bhagavad Gita 14:27, it is clearly said that the impersonal Brahm Jyoti rests on the person of the Lord. And because everything rests on the Brahm Jyoti directly and indirectly, everything is generated from the Lord. Everything rests on Him. And after annihilation, everything is merged in Him only. Therefore, nothing is independent of Him. A pure devotee of the Lord no longer wastes valuable time in discriminating the Brahman from non-Brahman, because he knows perfectly well that the Lord is Parabrahman. By his Brahman energy is interwoven in everything, and this everything is looked upon by a devotee as a property of the Lord. The devotee tries to engage everything in his service and does not create perplexities by falsely lording it over the creation of the Lord. He is so faithful that he engages himself as well as everything else in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In everything, the devotee sees the Lord, and he sees everything in the Lord. The specific disturbance created by a Duratma or crooked soul is due to his maintaining that the transcendental form of the Lord is something material. So nicely Prabhupada writing again and again that this is what the knowledge given in Bhagavad Gita, and so far in Bhagavatam also, in the universal form, everything belongs to the Lord. Everything comes from the Lord. Nothing is separate from Krishna. Nothing is independent of the Lord. Nothing. It's hard to understand. It's not easy. Nothing can happen without the sanction of the Lord. Everything is happening under His supervision. Of course, many times when we see things going on in the world, we say, I guess the Lord is not there or He's sleeping somewhere. He doesn't know what's going on over here. He knows exactly everything that is going on. And that will happen also in the future. He knows. Of course, we have independence to change our future. So some independence is there. So Christian knows that also, how much independence we have and how much authority we have. So nothing, not a blade of grass moves without His will. So forget about all these human beings everywhere, all over the world, fighting and creating so many problems, so many tensions everywhere. It cannot happen without His sanction and without His knowledge. We are just like puppets, actually, nothing else. Although we tend to think we are somebody very big, very important, and without us, the if we are working in a company, without us, the company will shut down. And if I don't go to the office, and if I don't take care of some decisions, my household will go crazy. My family will they'll be all disrupted, and this and that. And if we are becoming a little bit more popular or more powerful, or what will happen to the community I live in if I don't take care of them? The state, the city, the country. What will happen to the country without me? Krishna is there to take care. But we think we are somebody very important. That's the problem. Text 19. इत्थं मुनिस्तु परमेद व्यवस्थितो विज्ञान दृग्वीर सुरंधिताशया स्वपार्ष्णिना पीड्यगुदं ततोऽनिलं स्थानेषु षट्सून मये जितङ्गमा. By the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization, and thus be able to extinguish all material desires. One should then give up the material body by blocking the air hole through which the stool is evacuated with the heel of one's foot, and by lifting the life air from one place to another in the six primary places. And this he is talking about all the yogis, how they leave the body. There are many duratmas who claim to have realized themselves as Brahman and yet are unable to conquer material desires. So first qualification of a great yogi is no material desires. None. In fact, it's funny that once one such yogi came to meet Srila Prabhupada, and he was telling Prabhupada, "Oh, I live in Himalayas and I do so much of yoga and so much of tapasya and this and that." And Prabhupada was talking to him. Of course, Prabhupada was heavy with the philosophy, but after a while, this yogi, he passed air, and Prabhupada kept on talking to him, and Prabhupada, after a while, he became very compassionate, and then he asked his servant to give this yogi some prasadam, and afterwards he left. So after he left, Prabhupada was telling his servant that if this person claims that he is such a big yogi, he does so much of tapasya, he should have complete control on his body. So he should not have passed air here. That's yogi. They have complete control. No function of the body can happen without their control, without their knowledge. That is yoga. And here, of course, Shukdev Goswami is saying at the time of when they want to leave the body, how they direct the air, even that is controlled. They can what says the Kundalini. They can guide the Kundalini and they take it up, and the air, the life air would come out at the top of the crown, top of the head. So I'll go to the I'll go to the next verse, next paragraph. The expert yogi who has thoroughly practiced the control of the life air by the prescribed method of yoga system is advised to quit the body as follows. He should plug up the evacuating hole with the heel of the foot. Means when they sit down in such a way that the um, whole of the anus is blocked, completely covered by the heel of the foot, and then progressively move the life air on and on to 6 places. What are the places? The navel, the abdomen, the heart, the chest, the palate, the eyebrows, and the cerebral pit. Controlling the life air by the prescribed yogic process is mechanical, and the practice is more or less a physical endeavor for spiritual perfection. In olden days, such practice was very common for the transcendentalist, for the mode of life and character in those days were favorable. But in modern days, when the influence of Kali age is so disturbing, practically everyone is untrained in this art of bodily exercise. Concentration of the mind is more easily attained in these days by chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The results are more effective than those derived from the inner exercise of the life air. So this yoga practice, it is bona fide. Krishna also explains that in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But then he says towards the end of 6th chapter, the yogi nama sarvesham, out of all this best of yogis is one who abides by me in his heart, one who worships me, one who chants me. So bhakti yogi is very potent, very powerful yoga process it is, and it's not dependent upon any mechanical means. It's dependent upon our mood of service. That's all. How lovingly we can serve. Text 20. Nabhyam sitam hridya rupya tasmad udanagatyo rasitam nayen muni tato anusandhaya dhiya manasvi sutalu moolam shankar nayeta. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper places with intelligence. There are 6 circles of the movement of the life air, and the intelligent bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in a meditative mode. Among these mentioned above is Swadhisthana Chakra, or the powerhouse of the life air, and above this, just below the abdomen and navel, is a Mani Purak Chakra. When upper space is further searched out in the heart, one reaches the Anahat Chakra. And further up, when the life air is placed at the root of the palate, one reaches the Vishuddhi Chakra. So in fact, in pranic healing, we learn about all these chakras and how to, if there is any problem with the chakra, then there are corresponding organs that the chakra gives prana or the energy to, So we fix the chakras to fix the organs. And of course, this is also part of the healing that to raise the kundalini or the life force through all these chakras. So idea is not just to keep the body healthy. Idea is to raise the kundalini force, life force through this chakras all the way up to the crown chakra at the top of the head. Then Shukdev Goswami says, Tasmad Bhruvo Antaram Unnayeta Nirudhya Nirusaptayana Yatano Napekshaha Stitva Muhurtar Dham Kuntha Drishtir Nirbhidya Murdhan Vitsrijet Param Gataha. Thereafter, the Bhakti Yogi should push the life air between the eyebrows, and then blocking the 7 outlets of life air, he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. The process of giving up all material connections and returning home back to Godhead, the Supreme, is recommended herein. So the idea for a yogi also is to try to go back home, back to Godhead. So it's a mechanical process, but it's a very powerful process, and it's not easy at all. The condition is that one should be completely freed from the desire for material enjoyment. There are different grades of material enjoyments in respect to duration of life and sensual gratification. The highest plane of sensual enjoyment for the longest period of life is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. All are but material enjoyments, and one should be thoroughly convinced that he has no need of such a long duration of life, even in the Brahmaloka planet. So the highest form of enjoyment is in the Brahmaloka, which is the topmost planet in the material universe. So this is Prabhupada writing. One should be thoroughly convinced that he has no need for such a long duration of life, even in the Brahmaloka planet. So the idea is that in the material world, actually we cannot enjoy properly. Our real enjoyment and our real position is in the spiritual world. So the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, the life air passes through 7 openings, namely 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears and 1 mouth. Generally, it passes through the mouth at the time of an ordinary man's death. But the yogi, as above mentioned, who controls the life air in his own way, generally releases the life air by puncturing the cerebral hole in the head. The yogi therefore blocks up all the above mentioned 7 openings so that the life air will naturally burst forth through the cerebral hole. This is a sure sign of a great devotee leaving the material connection. So Prabhupada saying, generally people leave their life air leaves them from mouth. But for a yogi, his life air leaves at the cerebral hole. For a devotee, although it is said that his life air leaves through his eyes. He is looking at the lotus feet of Krishna or the picture of Krishna, and then his life air leaves from that part. So anyway, idea is to remember Krishna always, and especially at the time of death. And we'll study further what Shukdev Goswami has to do. There are so many wonderful verses to cover in this chapter. Anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Prabhuji, you said that we have the minute intelligence, and that's what the Krishna has given us, and he knows everything.
Minute independence.
Independence. And does he even know that and how we are going to use this independence? And
he knows, but he doesn't interfere.
he knows what we are going to use this interference as.
Yeah, but he doesn't interfere.
Okay.
Because we have to learn our lesson of misusing the independence. Is it okay? Yes, Archana Mata, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I just wanted to know this Bhakti Yogi ka jitna bhi process bataya, where is Bhakti stands over here?
Oh, that part will come later in the chapter.
Achha. Yeah.
Abhi he's talking about only the yogis.
Okay. Okay. No, but the yogis, jo ye sab karenge, yoga ke through, like whatever they are given the process, how do they remember Krishna in this process? Because their whole concentration will be on is chakra ko control karna, isko karna, you know. This is what I understood. Where is the, you know, how they remember Krishna in this process? Do they?
They don't meditate on Krishna. They meditate on Paramatma, or super soul in the heart.
Achha. Okay.
While meditating on him, they try to control the air, life air.
This is what I was thinking. But to be on these things, then where is Bhakti stand?
Bhakti, they're not devotees, so the process is different. Process is completely different.
There will be only yogi then. There will be no bhakti, na then.
Yeah, but if they perform it properly, when the soul leaves, it can go to Vaikuntha planet. But there is one problem, that when somebody does this yoga practice so much, and he becomes not very perfect, I mean very advanced in this, then he gets these Ashtasiddhis, either 1, 2, or all 8 siddhis. Means then he has some material powers, and chances are, not everybody does, but chances are he gets enamored or attracted by those powers, and he wants to use them for his own enjoyment. Even in Bhakti Yogi, see, Bhakti Yogi also gets some of these powers and much more. So chances are one can get distracted even in Bhakti Yoga. But Bhakti Yoga, the good part is Krishna loves his devotees. So even if somebody gets powers and he wants to use Krishna, we'll try to frustrate him. But if he has so much of desire, no, I want it, then Krishna lets him use. Okay, fine, go ahead. But in the beginning, Krishna frustrates him a lot. So he gets frustrated and he give up the idea of enjoyment like that. Same thing, no? That dialogue of Mughal Azam. Just remember that. सलीम तुझे मरने नहीं देगा और मैं जीने नहीं दूंगा.
Perfectly fitting in both.
Exactly, that's what happens in the life of a devotee. Chalo, I guess we can stop here.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You all have a wonderful, cold January day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.